Welcome to Positive Talk with Kevin McDonald. Hey, that's me. Hi, and welcome to Positive Talk. Our show features the best positive stories and people from around the globe as we endeavor to answer the universal question of why am I here and what is my purpose? Understanding that can change everything, and knowing your greatness is fundamental to living your best life. So join us right now as together we work to create the adventure of our lifetime. And boy, ladies and gentlemen, are we going to explore the adventures of a lifetime today? We have a great guest, and I'm going to have Brachelle. By the way, how are you, young lady? You had an awesome day yesterday.
Yes, I did. I'm very good. It was very fulfilling. I wanted to share that it's one of those times when you leave the house and you have good energy and you're like, I'm gonna do it all. I'm gonna go get my frog a new friend and I'm gonna go pick up some food from a friend's house. And you forget to do half the things along the way. And by the time you get home, you realize that you're tired and you're upset and you haven't eaten and the day is coming to an end. So I think it was a day where I recognized that I was able to control it enough once I saw it happening, but I was very frustrated with myself because I knew that I should have checked in with me before I left the house for so long. So we're learning lessons every day, and I'm excited specifically because of all of that. We have Andrew Wilson here as our guest today. His website is andrewwilson.com. He does so many incredible things that I'm going to let him tell you all about. So, welcome, Andrew. How are you?
Oh, wonderful. Thank you very much. Love the enthusiasm, love the energy. This is, I'm excited.
Well, I got to tell you, Andrew, I've been, and I still have to buy this book for her, The Journey of Souls, and which is a companion piece to the person that you found. And so, tell us about your journey, because you had something happen, and then in 22, you had a complete transformation, if you will, from the young man that you were to the young man that you are today. Tell us what happened.
Well, it was 2021, and I was just coming back from a long stint because before I was a hypnotherapist, I worked for the railway. So I was coming back from a hitch there, and I got a phone call saying, your mother's been admitted, and we don't know like what her status is. So I went to the hospital the next day, and she was hooked up to a couple machines, and they told me that her kidney stone that she had went septic, and that they were doing everything they could to like make it go away. So she ended up having to have a surgery, and then I got a call that same day, and they said that the surgery went well, and that was fine. So I was like, celebrating. I was happy. Come around midnight, I got another phone call saying, so your mother's not going to be with us for much longer. We don't know how much time she actually has. You need to get here ASAP. And this was during the time of the pandemic. So I had to do the whole gown up. And I don't think I've gowned up any faster in my life because I didn't know the extent of what she was going through. So I got in the hospital, and then I saw her there, and she was just laying there lifeless. And I stayed with her for 8 long hours. And it was probably the hardest 8 hours of my life. And something inside of me said, enough's enough. So I was like, okay. And then I was working at the time with some fellas, and they were saying, I asked them why they refused to get a vaccine. And they're like, well, it's infringement to my rights. So then I got down the rabbit hole and I started to research. And then I made my first holistic healing appointment. This lady's like, you're going down all the wrong ways. Here, listen, read this lady. Her name's Dolores Cannon. You start to read her books and you'll be steered in the right way. So I was like, okay. So I read the first book by her, was Conversations with Nostradamus. And I just got so infatuated with how her clients were able to channel Nostradamus. I was like, this is cool. And then to hear all like the stories that people were talking about. And then I picked up the book Between Death and Life. And that was when I learned that death isn't something to be afraid of. It's actually something to welcome and to enjoy and embrace. And it was then that I was like, okay, I'm going to do this for a living. this looks like a fun. So I took my course in it, and I've never worked so hard in my life on school, because growing up, I didn't have any good grades at all, because I was not at all invested in school or anything, and got so passionate with it. And then I did my first session. My first session was actually with my wife, and she doesn't mind me sharing it, but her like experience, like my wife is like part Jamaican, part Grenadian. And in her session, she was a white Caucasian male Viking. And she had an injury from a car accident. And it was because of the injury, it was actually her paying back her karmic for making weapons. So I was like, whoa, this is fascinating. So then I just got more into it, and I just kept reading more into it. And as I was doing that, I was healing like the part of my trauma that I've developed as a child growing up. But I learned that the trauma that I went through was the trauma that I chose. Because what we don't understand is when we come to, say, Earth, like when we're born, we actually sign a life contract, and we don't realize it. So everything we go through in life is actually by our choice, is by our hand. And when I realized that, it was something to take back the power within me and to allow myself to just let go and forgive. And forgiveness is one of the biggest things that has shown me a lot about just not like resenting people anymore, and actually treating people with respect, because everyone right now is struggling with trauma. So that's been my journey so far and what I've learned. And I continue to learn every day, because it never stops. When you stop growing, that's when you're done. Because I don't feel like a human. I feel like a soul having a human experience.
And you are a soul having a human experience. And, it's interesting that sometimes tragedy in our lives is what it takes for us to really decide that we are going to live a little bit differently, and we're going to explore different ways of being. And I'm glad you went through that. I'm glad you worked with Dolores Cannon. I thought it was her that I interviewed way back in 2004, but it's in any event, it was a psychic experience, and she was a hypnotherapist. And what we've discovered, and there's learning now, and that's what Dr. Michael Newton does as well with the Newton Institute. What we are learning is that hypnosis opens up our subconscious in a way that we don't recognize. As an example, before you got here, your soul knew everything. But one part of the agreement that you signed was that you were going to forget. So it's not like you are learning new things. You're remembering what you already know. We talked about this a great deal yesterday, didn't we, Rochelle?
We did, and it's making me think of the Matrix, because there's like so many different timelines and so many different stories, and I've heard of a lot of people even my age having experiences that they cannot explain, and it actually scares them away from it. And they usually run and they don't want to explore it, they don't want to understand. Or there's those people that are just the complete opposite, and they deep dive and they go off the other end into it. And as I'm saying, that is July 11th, 111 on my computer, so that's cool. We were talking about synchronicities also, and that's what I wanted to ask you about is, um, obviously the universe is always sending you messages and giving you what you're giving out. Um, do you ever have people that are just like, I just don't get it, or I just don't see it, or it's not there? And you kind of have to open up more of that awareness when they're not or not in their subconscious state, and are more aware all of a sudden.
Well, how it works with the session is you have a list of questions you have for the subconscious mind, and the
Okay.
subconscious won't show you what you're meant to see. If you are not willing to do the work, your
Hmm.
subconscious won't tell you anything, because you haven't done anything to earn the answers for your questions. So it's kind of
Okay.
like it's a way for people to make them do the work. But even if people can't connect with the subconscious, they still get something out of the session, because they've carried that weight for so long. that they actually got to release it in the interview. Because I do a 2-hour interview with someone to get to know them, to understand their characters, everything they've gone through, when they were born, how school was, what relationships were like, what the parents were like, everything. Like, it's all laid out there. And when we're done, that's when I bring them into the induction. And that's a 2-hour process as well, because you do a 2-hour induction, which involves either a past life, a present life, or an intergalactic life. And you do that for about an hour because they have to go through 4 death scenes. And then once they go through the 4 death scenes, then I bring in the subconscious and they ask their questions. And then when we're done the session, I give them a recording to listen to before they go to sleep at night. And the greatest thing I ever seen was this one lady came to see me, and she had just finished her cancer treatment, and she was doing all the work. And she listened to the recording over and over and over again. 4 months later, she reached out to me and said, "Hey, my cancer's gone. I want to thank you." And I'm like, "You don't need to thank me. Thank yourself. I'm just the facilitator. You did all the work." And that's the beautiful thing about quantum healing. It's not me that's doing anything. It's you. And that's what I love about it. And anybody can be hypnotized, whether you want to believe it or not. Like, you're driving down the street, you're hypnotized. You're watching television, you're hypnotized. You're reading a book, you're hypnotized.
If you that's what I was going to ask you, Andrews.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead. Finish.
If you follow directions, you can be hypnotized.
Yeah, and that leads me into asking you. I experienced that recently in the last year of my life. And one thing that happened to me that not ever had I heard of was that I was going to remember everything. And I was still conscious in a sense, but I was just aware of the subconscious while I was conscious. Is that a big thing that you run into with people where they're surprised that they remember everything?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, they almost say like they're gaslighting themselves. Like, did I actually say that? Like, no, your subconscious said that. Because your subconscious is the keeper of all the records of what you've done in this life, any life. So if you've lived, like, say myself, for instance, when I did my QHHT session, I was a German soldier. And the reason I had to go through the trauma I went through was to pay back and learn compassion. Instead, I learned the total opposite. I became narcissistic, self-absorbed, gaslighting people. And it was supposed to teach me to be a better person, to be more compassionate about others, to show love, unconditional love. But it does the opposite. And it does the opposite to all of us, because it's like you talked about, Kevin, the veil. The veil is over our face. When we're young, we don't have the veil. But as we get older, the veil comes over our eyes, because the schools tell us, our parents tell us, our friends tell us. Every single person is an influencer. Whether you want to believe it or not, even the people you're around, if you actually like pay attention to what people say, they're influencing your mind. They're actually hypnotizing you, and you don't even realize it. Even when you watch the news, that's a form of hypnosis. So it's interesting when you start to pay attention to people. You can actually almost see the frequency coming out of their mouths. And that's what I started to do. I started to become more aware of like what people were doing, and started to basically observe instead of and listen. And I'm like, okay, I see it. So this is how we get in the gossip. This is how we get in the confusion, the drama, because we're in tune with it. But instead we unconsciously go with it instead of consciously like, whoa, I don't want to be a part of that. I need to set up a wall and block that from getting inside of me. But we don't, because of the influences we've had in our life.
All the experiences that we've had when we were growing up and all of that, they are ultimately designed for our well-being. And people will say, oh, no, that was terrible what happened to me. I can't believe. Well, in looking back in hindsight, and you're a fine young man, and you're not very old at all, you know. But even today, can you look back at your life and say, that's why that happened when that happened, because it was it led you to the next step, for you to go to the next step to get to be the man that you are today, and not counting the man that you're going to be tomorrow. When you look at it that way, isn't it just a really exciting adventure that we're on here?
Absolutely. I mean, I'm blessed for my trauma, because if I hadn't had my trauma, I never would have met my wife. I never would have wrote my book. I never would have started a podcast, and I never would have started this practice. I'd be still working a 9 to 5 job in a toxic environment, being basically chasing money for a pension that isn't even mine. Like, money isn't even ours. Like, money's a frequency. And when you realize that it's energy, you're like, oh, why did I chase it for so long then? It was a part of me. But yeah, no, I'm so blessed for my trauma. I treat it as my way of being a superhero now. Because of my trauma, I never would have got to meet you two, right? So like, things happen for a reason, and I'm truly blessed and grateful because they happen, because I wouldn't be the man I am today if I didn't have the trauma, I'd be someone else.
That is so true. And in fact, I'm going to tell a story this weekend, and it's going to go up on YouTube, about how I went from a district sales manager at a major food company to a radio talk show host. And everything just lined up perfectly and in sync with what needed to happen next, in the perfect order for which it happened for me to get to that place. And it happens to all of us, but not very many of us pay attention. And you need to trust and pay attention to what's actually going on versus what other people, and I love people, but other people are telling us what we should believe and what's happening and what's not happening. And like, well, use you as an example, Andrew. I'm willing to bet that you had family and friends at one point say to you, Andrew, you've got a good job. It pays the bills. You really, what do you mean you're going to become a coach and a hypnotherapist and do all the, have you lost your friggin' mind, child? Tell me, I'll bet you that you've heard that before.
Oh yeah, I've had friends tell me, you're walking away from a pension. I'm like, yeah, I'm walking away from a pension.
Bye.
It's like, yeah, exactly. It was like, but why? And then my father, he couldn't believe it. It's like, so are you going back to work? I'm like, no, this is my work. What do you mean?
Wasn't it easy for you all of a sudden too? It's just like there was no fighting or pushing or pulling. It was just like, no, that's not what I want. This is what I'm doing. And it's just was that way.
But it was kind of challenging at first, because like at first when I like quit my job, I was like, what am I doing? Like, because you have that idea in your head because you've done it for so long and you've gotten to that programming. But then once you actually get yourself out of that mindset, it's like, oh, I'm free. I don't have to get up at like, say, crow piss anymore. I can actually sleep in. I can make my own schedule. I don't have to like rush or anything. I can take my time. It was wonderful at first. At first, I didn't know what to do. I kind of relaxed my first year, to be honest with you. I didn't really invest much. I just kept learning and reading and just absorbing as much as I could. And it was really beneficial. And it taught me a lot about communication, because a lot of us don't know how to communicate. And that was the biggest thing, because a lot of my relationships, because I was so uncomfortable in my own skin, I didn't know how to have a real relationship. I didn't know how to have real friendships. I didn't know how to talk to people in general, because if I did talk to someone, I was made fun of, or like they laughed at me. And it made me feel like, even like the other day, like I still get defensive on my writing because I was criticized for my writing. So that part of me is still like healing. So it's like, holy crap, like, look at this, like, look at the growth. But you have to, I think people have to go through something really tough, but you can't hold on to it. You kind of just take it as a lesson and an opportunity for yourself to improve, to grow, to learn, to not make the same mistakes. Or what are these mistakes telling you? What opportunity is this for you to leave this job? What opportunity is for you to leave this relationship? Or can you improve your relationship? Talk to your significant other, talk to your friends. And that's the one thing I've learned, like, even especially getting married, like, I still date my wife. I don't, like, we're not married. We're not complacent. We actually go out on dates. We we do a bunch of things together because you actually get complacent. That's another like thing. We get comfortable and then we get stuck. And then there's the confusion whenever we get unstuck and we're like, oh, what's going on here? So it's interesting how the mind works and how you've got to stay on top of things. You've got to continually do the work. If you don't do the work, then you can have burnout, you can have confusion, and you can have chaotic moments. And then your mind is just a mess at that point.
Speaking of chaotic moments, I can always tell when we're doing a good show because I've blown through the break. So I need to do that now. And by the way, we are talking with Andrew Wilson, who's a hypnotherapist, and he's got some really cool programs and he's worked with Dolores Cannon and others. And we'll be right back after this. And then Brachelle, I bet you has a question for you when we come back.
You became a real estate agent for freedom, success, and real momentum. So why are you still stuck waiting for closings to save you? I'm Ophir Adar, founder of Real Momentum, and I help agents like you become seven-figure earners. My first client that I coached, brand new agent, made $250,000 back in 2006. What's the secret? You feed your white wolf. That's the part of you that's bold and unstoppable and a closer and able to build rapport quickly. So click Get Listings at Real Momentum and let's unleash your real estate potential.
And welcome back to Positive Talk with Brachelle. She's right there. And my name is Kevin McDonald. And Andrew Wilson is with us. He is a podcaster. He is an author. He's done all kinds of stuff in just the last 3 years. So it doesn't take a lifetime necessarily to begin the transformation from who you was to who you are going to be. But, you're on a journey, and it's got to be very exciting. Brachelle, I know you have a question.
Yeah, I have a few. I'm taking notes. Um, so my first thing that I was thinking about, Andrew, is you were talking about um, kind of having the control of yourself and being aware of those things, and how you mentioned when you get into situations where you're like, no, this is not what my energy wants. I'm not allowing this anymore. And I want your perspective on auras because I've learned recently, I've been able to see auras all my life, but not only being in touch with your own, but being able to control it. And I'm not saying the color, the mood, the whatever. I'm talking about I've learned the boundary of your aura. When I walk into a place, I can choose to let all of my energy out and I can let people in, or I can shrink my aura and then choose, is my boundary a hard line, or am I willing to kind of let people in and out? And it's helped me learn how to set my energy with other people rather than just boundaries, because people respond off of energy whether they know it or not. And it helped me yesterday too, because I realized while I was in the store being chaotic and starving, that I just needed to shrink my aura because I was feeling and picking up on absolutely everything. So um, just anything that comes to your mind.
Well, I know like when I went to Costco here, and it was just right after the book I read, The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. And I could almost see everyone's energy, and it kind of like just grounded me because I'm an empath. So I struggle with being around a lot of people because I feel everyone's energies.
Right.
And I started to notice when I was in that moment of now, there was no one there. It was like there was people around me,
Yeah.
but I couldn't feel their energy. I couldn't feel nothing. It was amazing. So if I don't know if that answers your question or not about like auras, but in that moment when I had just that now moment, there was nothing, and it was glorious and beautiful.
Well,
So
yeah, and that was perfect to say off that because you're present. So
yeah.
you're not here or there. I remember in our interview, we kind of talked about that. Um, and I think that for a lot of people, the whole idea of even being hypnotized and wanting to explore that is just terrifying. What would you tell them as just an open door?
Well, I would tell them that it's a very relaxing process, and that it's like you're taking a nice long nap, and you're not really, you're in a vulnerable state, yes, but you're in a safe space. Like I hold space for everyone, and I make them feel welcome and nurtured. And it's about like kind of putting people in that state of mind before you even start the process, because a lot of people have walls up when they come in because they're not familiar with this type of process. And I've had a lot of clients that I've done, like, it's supposed to be a 4-hour session. It could be a 7-hour session because I had to interview them for 3 hours for them to just relax. And then when they finally relaxed, we went into hypnosis. And that was one of the best sessions I ever did, because we got all the answers and then they got the healing they were looking for. And it's just crazy how much baggage we carry around with us that we don't even know. And we were able to unload some of that baggage in that session because of it. And they've been doing well ever since. So it depends on the person, really, and what the person truly wants. You can come for a session, but do you actually want to be here for a session? Someone's kind of putting the idea in your head that you want to be here. It's like when we are around people and they put the idea in our head that we don't like someone because we're influenced, right? There's that influences again, right? But with me, it's like, okay, so here's what, do you want this? And if you do, well, here's how we can do this. And it's a very relaxing process. Like, I walk them through the steps and we interview, we talk about their past. And then, believe it or not, whenever someone cries, that's really the ticking point of getting them to relax, because you have to be completely calm, in the right state of mind. And then you can go into hypnosis. Like I said, anybody can be hypnotized, but if you don't want to listen or follow directions, you're not going to be hypnotized.
Now, I got to ask you, Andrew, because I've been under hypnosis and several times, and every time, because I have a firm belief that I have spirit guides and people that are working with me on the other side, that when the facilitator will ask a question, and then I won't answer the question, but I will answer the question. Does that make any sense at all? Because what happens is, at the end of the session, she will play back, if she's recording it or if she's doing a transcript, and I will have said things that I had no earthly idea that I had said them while I was in the process. It wasn't until after the process was over, and then I was able to look at some of the things that I said, and they were really profound, having to do with me and what I'm doing and why I'm doing what I'm doing, all of that kind of stuff. Is that a normal experience? And is that hypnosis, or did I make the whole thing up?
That's source. That's source energy. And what you did was channel. And we channel whenever we're in hypnosis, because we're in a different state of mind. We're in a relaxed state of mind. So therefore, our body, we're actually out of our body, and our mind is somewhere else. It could be to a galaxy. It could be to a past life. So yeah, I totally believe what you experienced, because that's how a lot of people, like, you look at Bashar, like, look at his channeling. He can channel, he can channel there, and he talks about like what's going on in the world. So I definitely believe what you're doing. And I mean, I channeled my German self. My wife channeled her Viking self. It's like, and we don't realize we have those deja vu moments, and those are actually a life that we lived. And me, I have like a militant mindset. Like, if there's like clutter in my house, I go crazy. That's the Nazi in me. That's the German soldier in me. So I took from something from a past life and I brought it to this life. And I imagine you did the same, Kevin, and you did the same, Rochelle, because it never leaves us, because it's energy. And what you're talking about is source energy. So of course you're going to have someone channel spirit, because we have so many spirit guides. I don't know how many exactly we have. I know my mother is one of my spirit guides, because I was doing a sweat lodge one day and I looked up at the sky and I had a total out of body experience, and I felt someone on my shoulder touch me and say, "You're doing good. Keep doing what you're doing." And there was a presence there. There was nobody standing beside me, but I could feel the presence. And they told me I was doing well. And then I looked back down at the ground, and then the voice was gone.
How do you convince? Well, I guess you can't. But if somebody asks you, if somebody says, "Oh, now Andrew, this hypnosis thing, come on, it's just, I don't believe in it. I don't believe in spirit guides and all of the folks," because in my experience, when I'm under hypnosis, they are dying. They're literally not dying, literally, but they are really interested in talking to me in a way that is more auditory than just being a voice in my head. But there are a lot of people that say, "Oh no, that's not even possible." And past lives? Who believes in past lives? That can't be. But there is now proof that past lives exist. Because people have found the people that they're talking about. Can you address both of those questions just real quickly?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, like it's like with just use an example, our dreams. Like we were told growing up, if we died in our dreams, we die in real life. You know how many times I've died like thousands of times in my dreams. I'm still here. Like that's the thing. Your soul at night when you sleep, you're actually not sleeping. Your soul has left your body. Like it's gone. It's gone somewhere. And that's like you talk about. Yeah, exactly. It's your choice. It's their choice whether or not they come back. And that's how a lot of people transition too, because it's time to end the process. So yeah, with the past lives, of course, people are going to be skeptical. I mean, there's like UFO sightings now that people are like, "Oh, where did these aliens come from?" Like these aliens have been here the entire time. Everything's been here the entire time, but we haven't like paid attention. So yeah, of course you're going to have the skeptics. People are very skeptical when it comes to hypnosis because they don't believe they can be hypnotized. But if you can watch a sport or you can watch the news, you're being hypnotized. You're being told these things to keep you in this state of mind, in this reality. And you talking about the Matrix. Yeah, the Matrix is real. 100% it's real. And we're in it. And this is like a game. And we can choose when we want to stop playing the game, or we could choose on how we want to play the game. Whether or not people believe that they're trapped in a three-dimensional world, that's your choice, that's your right. And there's a thing called free will that Dolores spoke about. You can't wake people up. People have to wake themselves up. So yeah, with the skeptics and everything that are out there, of course, they're not awake yet. They're still sleeping. They're still stuck in that fear, that trauma triangle. And because of that, you're going to have people question the idea. Yeah, I don't believe in past life. Of course you don't believe in past life because you only believe what you see. You don't believe what you can't see. And if you have those moments where you were seeing something, you're like, "Oh, I need drugs. I'm medically unwell. I have mental health issues. I have this, I have that." No, you don't. You're actually opening your third eye. You're opening your crown chakra. You're opening your chakras. You're doing this. And it's a good thing. It's not a bad thing. So you don't have to hinder yourself with medication. So yeah, of course, people are going to be scared because it's something new. It's something they've never experienced before.
But it is so uplifting when you do it, and it's so energizing, for at least for me. And we need to take our halftime break because we've gone over halftime. But we will be right back in just a moment, and I'm going to ask Rochelle because I know she's dying. She's got a bunch of questions, so we're gonna when we come back, we're gonna talk about it. We'll be right back.
You're listening to Brushwood Media Network, the best in syndicated talk, news, and entertainment shows.
As you go about your daily life, look closer. As you gather with family and friends who love and support you, look closer. There are youth right in your community who don't have the home, warmth, and healing you have. So look closer. Every year across America, a staggering 4.2 million youth are homeless or trafficked. And for 50 years, Covenant House has worked relentlessly to keep them safe and protected. Tonight, 2,000 young people will sleep safely in a Covenant House bed. And tomorrow, they will wake up surrounded by love. They get clean clothes, hot meals, medical care, and a safe place to sleep. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. In sites across America to help them fulfill the great promise of their lives. So look closer at Covenant House. To help or get help, go to covenanthouse.org.
And welcome back to Positive Talk with Kevin McDonald. Rochelle is right there, the dancing queen herself. And Andrew Wilson is our guest. He's a hypnotherapist and a podcaster of note. What's the name of your podcast, young man?
Beyond Transcendence with Andrew.
I love that. Rochelle, I know you are dying to ask a question.
Yes, I just had to know, Andrew. I was thinking about during the previous break, the first one that we had, about how sometimes you mentioned deja vu. That's a big one, and it's not just experiences, but people. I will have dreams, or I'll see somebody, and I'm like, I don't know how, but I know that person. And I've had experiences where I've walked up and tried to figure it out, and they're like, I don't know who you are. You need to, you're crazy. But it's gotten to the point to now where I start to feel things coming. I'll think about someone a few days before that, and I'll tell my cousin I know they're going to text me, and then they do. Or I had an experience the other night where my cousin said, "Hey, let's go drive around, listen to music," and we've been doing that since I got a car, because why not? That's what girls do. And I decided, I don't really want to do that. I don't feel good. Let's just stay home. We'll do whatever we want, but we'll be comfortable at home. I don't want to be out driving. And the amount of car accidents that had happened that night were very interesting. And the amount of just cops and people that were out and drunk, and what I had found the next morning waking up. And it was, when you're present, how we had talked about, it's almost unexplainable how you go through every single day and how things happen, because a lot of times you start to see it coming. Does that happen for you, or does that just sound insane?
No, your intuition spoke to you. Your intuition told you not to do that because it knew you were going to be harmed. There'll be times where, say, even your GPS acts up. Your GPS is acting up for a reason. It's taking you
Yep.
away from the area where there's going to be an injury or vice versa. So
Yes.
no, I don't think that's crazy at all. We actually, all of us have our intuition talk to us. We just don't pay attention to it. Like if we're getting a gut feeling, trust your gut, people, because your gut is your brain. Believe it or not, your brain is in your stomach. And
Yeah.
when we get the gut feeling and we think it's, that's when you're like, okay, we're not doing this today. Or you have
Yep.
a little voice in your head say, maybe not today. Let's do it tomorrow. And then something catastrophic happens. So yeah, no, that's completely normal. And
Well, and
what
even
you're
in
talking
the
about with the people that you're coming up to and talking, like we're
Mhm.
all energetically connected. We're all soul ties. So even like if you're around someone and you feel this vibe, like you're so happy around them. They could have been your child in a past life. They could have been your best friend in a past life. And then there's the opposite. You could totally not like a person because A, they killed you, or some other form of terrible thing they've done to you.
Mhm.
And you just don't like this person and you can't understand why. It's because you're tied to them soulfully.
Well, and I even think about it on the other end, how you're put in a lot of people, you'll hear say, the happened to me and happened for me thing. And I think a lot of times we're paying attention to our intuition more than we even realize. Because I myself have been in the opposite position where I changed my mind last minute and ended up in a situation that it could have been like, why did that happen? Why me? Why am I here? But I was put in a place that I needed to be to help somebody else, or be in that catastrophic situation on the outside to be able to navigate the situation. I've had that happen a lot, and a lot of people tell me, "You always have things happen to you." No, the universe gives me chances to be present where I can be to help people and expand and grow. And a lot of times lately, how you talk about the chakras in your stomach, I hear so many people, all ages. I'm talking like even my great great grandpa, who's almost 90. He said, I just don't feel good in my gut today, or I had a feeling about somebody, or I thought something, and I it made my stomach sick. And how do you break open the like? Because for me, it's so simple. I tell my grandpa, let me see your hand. I'll hold you. I'm going to give you energy. talking about things and he's looking at me like I'm absolutely insane. But it doesn't matter the age of somebody. It's crazy to see them so in touch and in tune with themselves, but also so unaware. So it's just a weird thing that I've started to see now that I'm in tune with myself.
Well, you got to think like people don't realize this because we weren't taught this. We learned it for over time, but we also wanted to be in that moment where we're just in that peace. None of us like to be in our own company. And that was the biggest struggle for me, was being with my own company, because I struggled with it. So I had to have the TV going. I had to have music going. I couldn't just sit in silence. And then I did a 3-day retreat where I had no phone, no nothing. And I just journaled. And I got so much out because of that. But people will not put their phone down. They will not get away from people. They want to be surrounded by people. They don't want to be with themselves. So you can't get messages because you're in the noise. And it doesn't matter if it's like positive noise. Either way, you're in the noise because there's noise around us all the time. And to get away from it, you have to get out somewhere in nature, go somewhere where there's no people, where it's quiet. And that's when you start to get the intuitive thoughts. That's where you get the insights. That's where you actually start to tap in, realize that you can heal yourself with your mind just by talking to your body, because our body is a living organism. And what we don't realize is every 9 months, our cells rejuvenate because they were alive. Everything's alive. Even like the mic I'm speaking on, it's alive. The headphones I'm wearing, they're alive because it's energy.
Yeah.
So of course people are going to be like, oh yeah, this is kind of woohoo. This is crazy. But they don't know because they're still asleep.
Let me see if I can help some people understand a little bit. And that is, have you ever decided that you were going to go to the store and the store is 2 blocks away and it's just a real quick trip? And you get ready to walk out the door and you hear this message in your head saying, don't forget your cell phone. Oh, but I'm just going to be gone. It's just 2 blocks. Don't forget your cell phone. Because there may be a reason why you may get into an accident on the way there. You may see something there. And they're trying to protect you and to help you to do the things that you can do a little bit better. So listen to that inner voice in your head, because it means you, number one, no harm, but it also means to help you to live your life a little bit better. Michelle, have you ever done that? Been ready to leave the house without your phone, and I'm just going to be gone for it. And then all of a sudden, you get this message from your head saying, don't forget the dang phone.
Yeah. Well, and even in times when we think we have that moment where we feel, I think I forgot something. You could be at the store. Every mom does this. I think maybe it's just a woman thing, but we go to the store and have to forget at least one thing. And you leave the house and you have that same feeling. But there's those times, like you were saying, Andrew, where it's like it's completely shifting time in your reality to avoid a certain situation. Okay, well, I got to grab my phone. Oh my God, I just set the keys down. Where's the coupons? Did the dogs don't have any water? Or you get out there and there's construction and you have to go this insane different way. That it happened with me and my mom recently, and I was thankful for it. And she was stressing out. She's like, "Oh my gosh, she's gonna mess everything up." And I was like, "No, no, 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 no. This is good." Because whatever's happening right now is avoiding something else that we probably don't want to know about. And I wonder, Andrew, have you ever had somebody who said, well, that inner voice, it's not for the good of me. It puts me in bad situations, and the universe is trying to attack me. I don't see it as a positive.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, especially when people like dabble with drugs and everything too, they got their voice is almost too powerful. And then they're like, oh, it's telling me to do things. I'm like, yeah, it's telling you to do things for a reason. Pay attention to those. No, it's freaking me out. It's too much. I'm having a panic attack. This is anxiety. This is all anxiety. No, I swear to you, it's not anxiety. You are okay. Calm down. You don't need drugs. No, you don't need to go to a psych ward. You're not crazy. It's normal. Just relax. And then, yeah, of course, people are going to be like, no, I don't want to do that. I don't like hearing that. Because like I said, it's the whole being comfortable with yourself. If you're not comfortable with yourself, you can't hear those intuitive voices talking to you. You want to hear someone else's voice. And that someone else's voice is the one that's influencing your mind and telling you to do the opposite of what you're supposed to be doing. So yeah, I totally agree with that 100%. And yeah, the whole cell phone thing, like my mind will tell me when I leave the house, oh, you forgot this. And then I'll turn around and it's like, oh, I just bypassed that. Oh, okay. There was a reason for this. It wasn't too bad. I mean, I wasted a tank of gas, but it was worth it.
Yes.
Well, and Andrew, in all the work that you've done, and I know that, see, for me, I get messages through music. I don't know how they do it, but I will turn on the radio when I get into the car, and a song that will be playing or starting that I have been thinking about. And it's just remarkable how that works. If you pay attention, you mentioned something earlier that I think is vitally important. A lot of us are still asleep. We don't know what we're capable of. And the work that you do is you help people find the fact that they're capable of dang near anything, don't you?
Absolutely. Well, it's not even the work I do. It's the work they do. I just facilitate. But yeah, a lot of people understand that they have the ability to heal themselves. They just choose not to because we were told that we need doctors. We need to get these vaccines. We need to take all these medications. No, we don't. We don't need to do that at all. We need to talk to ourselves because our voice is like spells. And when we tell ourselves we're well, we're worthy, we're happy, we're creating a frequency of gratitude, unconditional love, forgiveness. But when we do the opposite, then it's like the scientist, Mauricio Yamamoto. The book he wrote is called Messages in the Water. And he spoke to water because he realized that water isn't from our planet. It's actually from another planet. And our bodies are 80% water, whether people want to believe it or not. And the way we speak to our bodies, we make ourselves ill. We make ourselves sore. We burn ourselves out just by the way we talk to ourselves. So with the work that I do is just to get people to start to talk to themselves, start to understand that, yes, you can heal yourself. Yes, you have abilities that you're not aware of. But you also have to get people out of that mindset that have gone for so long to believe that they are unwell, that they need all these medications, that they need this counseling, that they need all this. They don't. They really don't. They just need to communicate with themselves and work with themselves daily, one-on-one, journaling. If not journaling, then go out for a nice long walk. Find some form of self-care that's just you and your thoughts. And that's where you start to realize, oh, yes, I can. Okay, I really don't need that pill for, say, your headache, for instance. Like you practice the light thing now, right?
Yeah.
You practice that. And when you practice it, then you visualize it. And when you visualize it, your mind sends it all the way through your body. And that is your glowing light. It's just about practicing. It's always just repetitive. You think about it, for years, we went through the school board, we went through sports or anything. What were they constantly doing? Drilling something into our mind. When you constantly drill things into your mind, it gets stuck there. So why not do the opposite and drill good things into your mind and take all that garbage and junk you've accumulated and flush it out through the bottoms of your feet?
And we need to take actually, Michelle, why don't you take us to break?
Okay, yes, we got to take our last break, and then I have one final question for you, Andrew. But thank you for being with us here, everybody. We've got Kevin and myself and Andrew Wilson talking about hypnotherapy, which is a big concept to most, but it's not a negative thing. So get curious, go to his website at andrewwilson.com, and don't go anywhere. We only have 10 minutes left, and we'll be right back.
Are you looking for a powerful way to grow your brand while making a real difference? Well, Positive Talk is the perfect platform to align your message with inspiration, hope, and meaningful conversations. By sponsoring Positive Talk, your brand will reach an engaged audience that values positivity and connection. people who want to support companies that share their values. Take this opportunity to showcase your business in a space that uplifts, inspires, and creates lasting impact. Don't wait. Email me, Kevin at kmmedia.pro today to learn how you can partner with us and spread positivity while growing your brand.
And welcome back to Positive Talk Radio, everybody, with the one and only Kevin McDonald and myself, Rochelle. And we've got Andrew Wilson here today. Andrew, remind me the name of your book.
It's called The Enemy Within, Fears Our Greatest Opponent.
Yes, great. And I'm guessing that's on, yes, it is on your website, I've seen. So go to andrewwilson.com. And I have to ask you, Andrew, because I had this thought come to me right at the end that was, hold on, let me remember. When I do this, I get so excited, and then there's so much going through my head, and then Kevin made me come back. I lost my train of thought, but Kevin, I'm gonna let you go first.
Well, first of all, Andrew, you did a remarkable thing just the other day for our friend Rochelle, and that was she was having a whale of a headache, and you helped her get through that, and she's now using that as a way. And by the way, yesterday she was on top of her game. She was great. She felt really good. It took a little while to work through what she was going through, but I would love for you to explain to our audience, can they find that on your website? How can they tap into that? Because I think it's universally needed, and if people do it on a regular basis, it would be really positive for humanity. How can they learn how to do what you taught Rochelle how to do in like 3 minutes?
Well, it's they can reach out to me on email, or they can reach out to me on Instagram. I don't have it on my website just yet because it was kind of like one of those spur of the moment things. I just saw that she was in struggle and I wanted to help her, because that's the one thing I've learned about being on this healing journey is I just want to help people. So when I see people in despair, I instantly want to help them. And that's just who I am as a person. And I even donate some of my sessions for free because I want to see people get healed. So it's just who I am, and I just kind of do it on a spur of a moment. So yes, but it's not added to my website right now. But if you want to learn about it, I would definitely tell it to anyone who wants it right now, because I want to see everyone heal themselves, because you deserve to have your healing the right way, and not to disregard anything that doctors do, because I respect what you do and everything. But I think people need to start to learn to do things for themselves.
That leads me into the question I remember. Look at me go. I was thinking, Andrew, do you ever get into a session with somebody and they finally cry, and it's almost like you get to be there with them, like meeting themselves for the first time?
Absolutely. I mean, I've like experienced everyone's feelings whenever they're in the session, because that's the joys of being an empath is I feel everything. So I really, there's times where even in the horrific moments of their past life, I am there with them in spirit, watching them, guiding them as best as I can to keep them calm. One session I did with a client, I've never done Reiki before, and Spirit told me how to do Reiki. So I had to literally do Reiki with a client. It's like, I am there with you 100%, because that's what I love to do. And yeah, of course, I feel everything. So when people cry, I hold back my tears, because I try to get myself, even when I was talking about my mother, you could probably see the tears rolling down my eyes, because it's just part of like being a kinesthetic learner. Like, you feel everything. So I am there with them 100%. And it's the best part about the job but it's also draining too. So you gotta watch that. Like, I also have to like eat like a horse after I do a session, because I burn so much energy. It's like doing cardio or running a marathon for your mind. Like it's a lot. Like, it's a 4-hour session and it's exhausting, but in the end it's worth it. So
that's amazing.
That brings up an interesting point, because when we do these shows, they energize me. And at the end of the show, I am completely more energized than I am at the beginning. I can be tired and I can be, oh, but then by the end of the show, it's like, let's go, baby. And not that way. I don't mean it that way. But that's a little bit too much information for everybody to hear about. But in any event, and I know you use a lot of energy, but there's an exchange of energy that goes on when you're working with somebody as well. And it's a great way for you to really touch another human being. It is remarkable. And I'm glad you're doing what you're doing, because when you're able to touch people and help them wake themselves up, so that they can then turn around and do some of the work that you're doing with Eckhart Tolle and with Dolores Cannon and with so many others. It can be a really remarkable experience for everybody.
Absolutely. I mean, it's fun too. It's fun just being around energies. I mean, right now, you and I, Kevin and Rochelle, we're all transferring energies, right? I could feel your guys' energy, and all I feel is love. So it's like, yeah, let's do it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
It is indeed. And Rochelle, do you have another question, another thought? I would love your input, because, Andrew, I got to tell you, she's been with me for about 1.5 years now, and she says things and she doesn't even know that it's almost like she's in self-hypnosis, because these things just come forward from her, and it's coming from somewhere else. I think it's coming from the divine, and she's asking the question that I've heard so many people say, oh, that's a great question. So, Rochelle, you got a great question?
I don't, just having lots of thoughts. I think we're going to have you back, Andrew, because now what Kevin just touched on is a whole nother thing, self-hypnosis. I didn't even think about that, but it's probably so valid in so many ways. When you construct your own energy space is kind of how it feels. And then touch into allowing people to draw closer to that. But thank you for doing the work that you do. And anything that you'd like to share with our listeners as an ending thought for the show, and then please come back.
Oh, I would 100% come back. And for you listening, just know that you're receiving unconditional love from me, from Rochelle, from Kevin. Just learn to love yourself. When you learn to love yourself, that's your superpower. That's your way of escaping the chaos, the confusion, the drama. And when you let that go and just forgive, it's your superpower. You don't need any more help from anyone else. You just need to help yourself. And I love each and every one of you listening. So keep doing what you're doing.
Amen. Thank you, Andrew.
And I got to tell you, Andrew, that some things happen in our lives and you just don't know why until many years later. And when I was a kid, my dad worked a lot, but when he was home, he wanted quiet. He wanted to watch his TV and eat his peanuts and drink a beer or two. And I was always vocal. And so I ended up in my room a lot. It's actually a family thing about Kevin ending up in his room. And but you know what I learned now after experiencing that? I learned how to be alone. I learned that being okay to be alone, and that I don't need anybody else to depend upon for my own happiness. And that was something that I learned through all of that. And it was by design, I've come to understand. And that was part of my soul contract. They said, you need to learn how to be alone, because that's going to be a big thing that you need to know. And so I just wanted to get that out there, because it's for me. And that happens to all of us. We all have got experiences that we think are either bad or why'd that happen, but they're by design so that we can get to be where we want to be. And we're going to run out of time. Dang it, darn it. We got to do a 2-hour show, Rochelle. That's all there is to it. And AndrewWilson.com is where you go. Andrew Wilson, thank you so much for being here, young man.
Thank you very much for having me, Kevin. Thank you, Purcell. This has been fun.
And go listen to his podcast, which is
Beyond Transcendence with Andrew.
And we love the work you're doing, and thank you for doing it.
Thank you for having me.
Andrew.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Positive Talk with Kevin McDonald. Our purpose is to provide everyone with a positive, entertaining, and educational experience. I would love your feedback and comments about the show, including possible topics and great guest suggestions. Please email me at kevin@kmmedia.pro. And remember, be kind to one another because each other's all we've got. That's Kevin